This is a ghost flip, and a fun trick to work on at any stage of your skate journey. The only thing you really want to know how to do is ride comfortably and hippie jump in place. Then the only thing standing between you and a ghost flip is a little or a lot of practice. So let's go over how to practice them and finish with a few tips. Step 1, warm up with some solid hippie jumps. Jump up and down on the bolts, jump back and forth from the deck to the ground, and then start jumping off of just your front foot. This motion is critical for a good ghost flip. Step 2, work on getting just a good flip of the board while standing on the ground. A few things to keep in mind are that 1, you want the knee to go straight up, you do not want to kick the board forward. You want a nice quick pull up, keeping your toes pointed nice and high at the peak of the flip. I noticed that when my toes are nice and pointed high is when I get the best flip. And I prime the flip by first tapping my foot to the ground so that I'm getting the most power I can from this little space. You also want to make sure that you're pulling up at the center of the deck towards the heel side edge. You don't want to flip near the bolts or too far into the center of the deck. If your toes go too far into the center of the board, you'll end up lifting it straight up or pushing it out instead of flipping it. So you have this nice little green zone where, in my experience, will give me the most consistent flip. But as always, experiment until something feels comfortable and seems consistent. The best flip will come up, spin, and get caught right above the ground. And if you can start doing this semi-consistently, you are well on your way to a beautiful ghost flip. Step 3 is to just start getting back on the board. You can start as slowly as you need to. Flip the board and step back on. Then try to step on faster, and faster, and faster until you feel confident jumping back onto the grip. But to do this, you really need a lot of confidence in that flip. So really get the flip down so that you can feel super confident jumping back onto the deck. You might land primo, you might land on the graphic. It can happen, so really build up that confidence and also make sure that you're jumping up high enough that you can get both feet back onto the board. So get to hopping. Step 4 is to work on the hop off of the deck while rolling. You might be tempted to roll slow, and that's fine, but keep in mind that a faster roll will help keep the board more steady because it will react less to the small movements of your feet. And speaking of, pay attention to how I jump off and back onto the deck. First of all, the jump is a lot more back than it is up. Also, you can jump straight off of both feet, but do pay attention to how the back foot lands on the ground first and then also leaves the ground first, so that you're jumping off of the front foot only when trying to get back onto the board. This is key, and you can kind of keep this back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot motion as a rhythm. It's just a little pattern, just a little rhythm, but you do want to make sure that you're jumping off of the front foot to complete the flip. Another thing to notice is that my back foot lands behind the center of the deck and not behind the bolts. This is because the deck is rolling forward, so I want to make sure my feet are in front of the deck, towards the center, in order to keep up with that momentum. It's also why I do the step this way. I can step forward with the front foot if I land on the back one first. Once you get this rhythm down and can keep up with the roll of the skateboard, you are ready to move on to step 5. Which is putting it together slowly. Hop off the deck, take as many steps as you need to flip the deck, and then jump back on. It's just about building up from here, getting fewer steps and rolling faster and faster until you can do it really smoothly. And when troubleshooting for issues, just try to make sure that you're flipping in a good spot so that you're getting a nice rotation, that you're flipping up and not kicking the board away. Do try to keep that hop and step quick so that it's almost at the same speed of the deck rolling, because you don't want to be landing behind the deck like I often did. Also, jump far enough forward to make sure you're making it back onto the board, or really focus on getting a nice crispy flip up so that you can keep it as in place as possible. But let's be honest, that's not easy, so feel free to jump forward while you're finessing the flip. And then do make sure that your toes actually catch the board. It will help, I promise.